Hi, welcome. So great that you're joining us tonight on this very special event about alternative platforms. And my name is Lillian Stolk, and I'm organizing the HUM together with Margarita Osipian, who's typing to you now in the chat, with Laurence Schertz, who is reporting this event via our Instagram stories, and with Marco Wessel, who is taking care of what you see in the stream. For the ones who've never been to the HUM event before, the HUM is a platform for internet cultures based in Amsterdam. We organize events, publish editorial content, and give workshops to reflect on what's happening on the internet and to better understand the complex structures behind it. Besides focus events like this, where we delve a bit deeper into important topics, we also organize fast-paced events with 8 speakers. Tonight is all about alternative platforms. While the promise of the internet was and still is a space of openness, our digital public squares nowadays are organized by and determined by a handful of big tech companies. These companies decide what the square looks like. They decide what we can do and what we can say and what we can share. They decide the kinds of interactions we can have with the content and with other users. It's important to realize that these companies do not care about the social atmosphere on the square and whether they are offering a safe environment to the users. Their main interest is selling advertisements on the back of our data and online behavior. And the only thing they want to avoid is us to leave en masse. And there seems to be an increasing criticism to the power of big tech. Australia, for example, recently unfriended Facebook. And last week there was another tech hearing in America regarding misinformation with Facebook's Mark Zuckerberg, Twitter's Jack Dorsey, and Google's Sundar Pichai. But meanwhile, we have been extremely online over the past year, and we have been using the tools and platforms that these companies are offering us even more. So what's the solution? How can we solve this broken internet? Tonight, in the first part of the event, we will visit some friendly alternative of existing big tech platforms and show different approaches of using existing platforms in creative and atypical ways. We organized this tour together with Public Spaces. In the second tour, we try to answer the question whether these alternative platforms have the potential to fix the internet or if the very infrastructure and governance of the internet needs to be reimagined. For the first part, it will be a tour and we won't stay on this platform. Or actually, it is possible to stay here in the live stream because we will be streaming all presentations here as well. But it is something we don't recommend. You'll get the best and certainly most fun experience if you jump along with us. We'll visit 5 different platforms where 6 different speakers will present about the platform from the platform itself. And it will be a unique experience since none of the platforms were originally built to hold presentations. During the first online event we did last year, it's almost a year ago, the HUM in quarantine, we also hosted 5 presentations on 5 different platforms. That time it were mostly streaming and conference call platforms. For some participants, it almost felt like a pub crawl. Some told us after the event that they enjoyed discovering parts of the internet they didn't know yet. So that's why we thought such collaborative virtual tour would give us the perfect opportunity to introduce you to platforms or tools that might be a bit less easy to find than, let's say, Twitter or Google, but which are more friendly and open to use. So definitely worth out to check. Tonight's stops will be Mastodon, Ethercalc, Mozilla Hubs, Nextcloud, and Terminal. At the end of every presentation, you'll receive the link to the next presentation. And since most speakers won't be visible when they're giving their talk on their platform, because they will be typing, and to see who will be typing or speaking to you in the upcoming hour, I think it's nice to quickly introduce them all to you in this stream. So and conditions for every platform when I introduce the speaker. So Marco, the speakers can still Margarita will share those hashtags in the chat. If you don't have a Mastodon account, you can also ask a question directly in the live stream, and we'll post it in the Mastodon, in the HUMS Mastodon account. Same story for the people who stay in Mastodon in the live stream. When you ask a question in the chat here, Margarita will send the questions to me, and I will be joining the tour and ask the questions on the platforms. Yeah, so all the speakers are back in the live stream, I see. The next speaker, the next platform will be Ethercalc, where Carl will be giving his presentation. Hi, Carl. Yay. Carl, Ethercalc is a very easy platform. Anyone can take part in this presentation, interact, and ask questions. There are no more other things I have to say about this. Then there's a small change in our schedule because Michelle, who will be giving the presentation in Mozilla Hubs, will be joining us a bit later. So from Ethercalc, we will jump to Nextcloud. And there, Natasha and Leonike. Leonike is the cloud here in this stream. And Natasha, hey, Natasha. They will be giving a presentation. So Natasha Straat from iMuseum and Leonike Verhoef from Public Spaces. They are both happy users of Nextcloud, just like us. And yeah, they will be giving their presentation in some cloud folders. This is an easy one. Again, anyone can take part and no other things important to say. Then we have a presentation in Terminal with Martijn van Boven. Hi, Martijn. Martijn will give a shell script lecture via Terminal, and this is a presentation that's only possible for Mac users. So non-Mac users can watch the live stream. For this presentation, you'll be asked to download a small application which will be shared during the Nextcloud presentation. Once you've followed our instructions and you let the script lecture run on its own, be patient with it. Another last note about this presentation, it's also important to have Chrome installed as one of your browsers. All right, then I think it's time to start and time for the speakers to install themselves on their platform. And for you, our audience, it's time to stretch your legs because we're almost ready to start with the tour. We've overcharged you with information to prepare the tour as much as possible, but now it's time to let you go. It's probably going to be a crazy and sometimes chaotic ride. For us, it's also an experiment to see what kind of possibilities are there for online events besides just a live stream. Please keep in mind that if you get confused or if you get lost, you can always come back to the live stream, and Margarita is there to redirect you. Or you can also just watch the tour from here. So it might be smart to leave this live stream website open in your window. Especially, that's a good idea during the first presentation at Mastodon, because here I'll be sharing a link to the next presentation as a post, but it's possible that this post gets overshadowed by other posts. So in case you missed it, you can come back to the live stream because we also post the link to the next presentation in the chat here. Another thing, to open a link in our chat in a new window, you need to right click, or else it will open in this window, and that's something you don't want. Okay, good. Let's begin. See you in Mastodon. Remember, 10 posts and refresh. I will do a little countdown, and then Margarita will share the first tour destination in the chat. Exciting. Okay, ready, set, go.
Hi everyone. We were testing with EtherCalc earlier this week, and it turns out that it can handle 20 people, but not 100. Maybe it's my server, maybe it's the software itself, we don't know. But I'm going to give you the presentation I had planned on giving here, and then in your own time, keep the EtherCalc link, and if you want to, you could go back there and make carpets. So here is the presentation. So EtherCalc, the most important thing is that it's self-hosted. That means it can be installed on any computer. You can run it on your personal computer if you want to work alone, sure. Or on a local device if you want to collaborate with your housemates. Or even on a remote server like us. Most of the time it works, with 100 it doesn't. So the thing is, if you're using self-hosted software like EtherCalc, then you either know or are the owner of the computer or server it runs on. Your data is safe. EtherCalc is open source. The source code is visible, it's on GitHub. It can be cloned, forked, extended, reused, etc. Anyone can make a copy of the code and improve it or develop it further. The author of EtherCalc is Audrey Tang, quite a famous internet person. They are also my favorite person on the internet, so I suggest you look them up. So the thing is that developers of open source software often reduce their code to bare-bone functionality, based on the assumption that someone else will fork it and improve it. That makes it less friendly to use. It's difficult to use. Skipping. Usability and accessibility are not always a priority for open source software. Google Sheets, for all the reasons Lillian talked about at the introduction, has the time, funding, and design to be very user-friendly and very powerful, and also handle 100 users. EtherCalc doesn't. And the kind of conclusion is that the direction of EtherCalc's development is in both no one and everyone's control. And as non-developers, our contribution should be to continue to use it, and where possible, discover bugs like these. So let's keep an open mind for open source software. And I wanted to make carpets, but that's not going to happen because EtherCalc is not going to handle all of us on there at the same time. So please keep the link. And if you want to make a carpet with your friends later, just go in there and follow the instructions. And based on this conclusion, I would also report a bug to EtherCalc's GitHub repository. So Audrey Tang about the number of users there. Thank you.
other credentials around sustainability. So I think for this crowd, like that kind of investment of your digital infrastructure with a sustainable provider could be really interesting.
Yeah. What do you mean with renewables?
So there are ISPs and data centers and website hosts who run their services on renewable energy. Maybe for this crowd, like that kind of investment of your sorry, there's not a lot of background, so provider could be really interesting.
What do you mean with renewables?
So there are ISPs and data centers,
Okay.
and website hosts.
I do hear a little background, and I think other people have that problem as well. And I think it also is time to move to the next presentation, which will be on Nextcloud, and I will be sharing a link in the chat now. So please come to Nextcloud. Okay.
Hi, welcome everybody. Welcome in the next class. Welcome, guys and gals and
Other clouds.
all the other.
Hi, what's your name, little cloud?
My name is Natasha.
Okay, and my name is Leonika. I'm also a little cloud today, but normally I work for public spaces. And where do you work, Natasha?
I work for the Film Museum in Amsterdam.
Okay, and what do you do at I?
I'm what's the English term? I manage applications at and I'm the privacy officer.
Aha, and we're here to talk about Nextcloud.
Yes.
Can you tell us a little bit about Nextcloud? What is it?
Nextcloud is cloud storage, like for instance Google Drive or Dropbox or all the other kinds of cloud storages that are available. There's also a possibility to share files and collaborate on files with the only Office. Nextcloud is privacy safe, and your data is your own, so your data is not being mined or shared. It's an open source application, and there's a lot of different apps you can install on your cloud. So I think it's best comparable with Google Drive.
And why would one choose for Google Drive, not for Google Drive, but for Nextcloud?
If one wants to keep their data to themselves and not share it with Google and all the other big corporations that mine our data, then it's a very good alternative. So it's your data is your own. You're not sharing your data when you're using Nextcloud.
Okay, and how can you start with it if somebody wants to use it for themselves or for their organization?
Well, you can install it on your own server. It's an open source application, and that's for free. Or you can get an abonnement subscription at, for instance, the Good Cloud. The Good Cloud is a Dutch supplier for Nextcloud, and it's like a software as a service, as a SaaS. You can get a free account or you can get paid accounts, and the more you pay, the more data you can store in your Nextcloud.
And how do you use it?
Personally, I use it for all my files, for all my images, pictures, my calendar, contacts, the regular stuff. I use it as a cloud storage, and I use it also to collaborate on files that I share with friends or family. And
That's it. And you also managed to get your colleagues to work with it at or some of them. How did you do that, and why are they using it?
3 departments at I use Nextcloud for projects that they collaborate with people outside of I.
And you decided that it's easier, or why did you want them to do that like that?
Because of privacy issues, and because I is a partner of public spaces, and we find it very important to respect the privacy of our customers, of our colleagues, of course, but also of collaborators outside of I. And we didn't want to force other people to use, for instance, Google Drive to collaborate with I colleagues. So we have 3 departments that do big projects with people outside of I, like festivals or education projects. So those departments switch to Nextcloud so they can safely collaborate.
Oh, that sounds really good. But for now, Natasha Cloud, thank you so much for sharing your information. And
thanks for the invitation.
Yeah, and if you viewers want to talk with Natasha Cloud or Leonieke Cloud, please go back to the file folder and go to questions for Natasha and Leonieke, and we'll all get together in that spreadsheet to close this session. Thank you and bye-bye.
Okay, welcome back. I guess you're all a bit lost. I was also lost. Maybe one of the lessons we got from this tour is that alternative platforms, or the platforms we choose, are some of them are not really ready for getting such a big audience to their platform and using it at the same time. It's a pity because we had a lot of nice questions and nice activities like carpet making in the spreadsheet, but you're still welcome to do that. But we move over to the last presentation, which is a presentation that is only possible to do in for Mac users. So if you are behind a Mac computer, then please take care of, please have a look at the chat, because we are giving some instructions in there. I think Margarita will type them there now. And if you don't have a Mac user, or you used your phone or tablet to watch this event, you can just watch the stream. I will also open the live stream to see what Margarita is typing. Okay. So as Margarita says, and as I said, it's only for Mac users. It's going to be a terminal presentation by Martijn van Boven. It is good to have a Chrome installed as a browser. Make sure you have your audio turned on. And this is an important link that Margarita is just sharing. Click the link to open the zip file. And make sure you have your audio turned on, keep the chat open and visible to follow the instructions and download the zip file. Open the zip file. Once you have the zip file opened on your desktop, open the terminal app in your computer. And if you know how to work with terminal, please don't start the presentation yet, because we want to do it all together. So we will have another countdown. Yeah, so once you've opened the zip file, and you've opened the terminal app on your computer, make sure that you make the window as big as you want. So we recommend to make it the full screen size. Then in terminal, you have to type a code that Margarita is sharing. And so CD and some weird signs, and then desktop, and then press enter. Once you've reached this point, let us know. Then you can type done in the chat, because then we're ready, almost ready to do the countdown. This first enter doesn't start, let us start the presentation immediately. I already wish you a lot of enjoyment during the presentation, and remember that you can just, you sometimes need a bit of patience, but you can just let the presentation run. Someone is not done yet. Okay, maybe a few more seconds, because I've seen a lot of dones. Okay. Yes. Also, Marco is ready. Good. Yeah, so it's for the best experience, it's good to let, oh, I also have to do it actually, to run the presentation simultaneously. So one of two more troubleshoot. Okay. We have to press SH, the hem.sh, but do not press enter yet, because this is something we have to wait for before we count down, and we have to press enter all at the same time. I think it's ready for the countdown. Let's start. Follow the countdown of Margarita, because there will be a short delay in this stream. Just follow the countdown in the chat and press enter when Margarita in the chat writes, press enter in terminal. I will also do it. Enjoy.
This program will continue in less than 30 seconds. Welcome him to the Shell Script lecture for the HM, a platform for internet cultures. This lecture is a demo of a lecture series Martijn van Boven gave during the first pandemic wave of 2020. It showcases some of its features, such as synced playback of media, automatic downloading, perfect timing of moderation by me, Samantha the voiceover. The total playing time of the Shell Script lecture is 14 minutes. But, first, Let's move to the video conferencing platform Jitsi. Please enter a username. Mardian will give a brief introduction now, for 90 seconds. In his introduction he will talk about his own work and its relation to the concept of the shell script lecture. For 90 seconds. In his introduction, he will talk about his own introduction. Here, let me show our audience some of your work.
To the concept of the shell script lecture.
In his introduction, he will. Mardian will give a brief introduction now, for 90 seconds. Let's move on.
Hello, everyone. I hope some of you can hear me finally. Yeah. So also this server was a little bit too overwhelmed when everybody went online. So I'm Martijn van Boven, and I'm running this shell script lecture here. I did this shell script lecture because I am a teacher, and during the beginning of the pandemic wave of last year, I got really tired of all the different types of platforms we had, such as Jitsi, Zoom, etc., etc. And I wanted to develop something more bare to the bones, which fits a little bit with my work. I'm a computer artist as well, and I'm also researching, let's say, how computer culture can be sort of used as an expressive medium.
In this section,
So
Mardian will talk a bit about his class Media Archaeology at the Department Design Art Technology.
Yes, I have to move forward. I teach media archaeology at Artes, and with media archaeology, I try to teach students how to look back at the past 100 years of technological innovations, and I think media archaeology, it's an interesting way also to understand the now. And
Thank you.
how
Let's move on.
Is, being,
we will continue now.
at the moment.
Please close the Google tab of Design Art Technology. In this section, we will look at some of the movie by the French filmmaker Rose Lauder. Mardian will give a 30 seconds introduction why he chose to select this filmmaker and her work.
I am also, or I used to be also a film program curator, and in one of my classes, I was showing them some of the work by this amazing French filmmaker Rose Lauder, and I wanted to share some of her work with all of you. She is known for sort of the eco cinema, where she sort of explores the influence of human technology through cinema. And
you might want to put the video in full screen by pressing the button in the right-hand side corner of the video window. As well, this movie is silent. It has no sound and is 2 minutes and 56 seconds long. Enjoy. We will continue
I
now.
think this
Please
work
close
is
this
just
Google tab.
amazing. Really check out her work via Litecoin.
We will now move on to video conferencing platforms as a new form of movie-going experience. Now you need manually to go back to the Jitsi room in Google Chrome for a conversation about the 24-hour public screening. Waiting for Godot, a movie based on a
for me,
novel
this
by
was
Samuel
a
Beckett.
very interesting
Mardian will give a 1-minute
experience, is that,
introduction.
last year, when these video platforms took off, I thought, what would it be if I would sort of go to a Jitsi room and I would type in Waiting for Godot, which is a film where people are waiting for someone who actually doesn't show up. So I did that, and then in the end, I actually saw there was a guy also hanging around on the same URL in the same Jitsi room. And he had the same idea as I had. So he was also just hanging around in this Jitsi room waiting for Godot. And he was like, hey, what are you doing here? And I was like, what are you doing here? And so we basically ended up in the same sort of story as in the film almost. And so this I came up with this idea to have this Jitsi room waiting for Godot, where you have 24/7 this movie playing, and you can just go there and oh, we're always at the Q&A. Yeah, so it should be working like 24/7.
Thank you. We will now have a Q&A for 4 minutes.
Enjoy watching a film. And I think that could be an also very interesting platform, you know, like Jitsi as a film platform, movie watching platform. I hope Lillian is also going to be here somewhere around.
Hi, Martijn.
Ah, yes, I see you.
Hey, thanks. Thanks for the presentation. Before we start with this Q&A, it's good to know that the script is still running and we have exactly 4 minutes for the Q&A. So it can happen that in the middle of a question, we will be brought back to the live stream website where we have a short break before we start with the second part in the of the event. So let's start. But actually, maybe this is one of the few Q&A that actually is happening because in the other platforms, it went wrong. I was wondering, because you're using Terminal for teaching, what advantages does it give you as a teacher?
It doesn't give me any advantage. It causes a lot of problems.
Why do you do it?
I do it because personally, I just really don't like Keynote. I really don't like these TED Talk type of presentations where everything is so slick. You know, you have the templates ready. You know, you just type in your stuff and then students sit back. I've been teaching for 17 or 18 years, and my experience is the more beautiful the presentation, the less interested they are. And so if you want to keep people really engaged, I think it's also interesting to, because for me also the terminals also, for instance, showing that you can own a piece of software and then make it behave the way you want to do it. And also, if you create a keynote presentation, sometimes they can be like hundreds of megabytes or sometimes even a gigabyte. And this lecture, it's just a script of a few kilobytes. It's easy distributable, and also there are many surprises in like that you go to like a Jitsi room. But I find it just also as an artist, I find it an interesting way how to investigate how you can use a computer in a way that is just not intended. And for me, that's also an educational statement in a way.
Yeah, it's interesting. If you have any questions for Martijn yourself, you can also unmute yourself, or you can ask them in the chat, or you can ask them in the live stream chat as well, because then Margarita will send them to me. I have another question because I never used Terminal myself. Your presentation actually was the first time that I opened it on my computer and I really typed in things in it. But when I told it to a developer about this presentation, he said, "Oh, I'm not going to just put a terminal file on my computer." Can you understand his reaction?
Nah, he's just not a daredevil. It's as simple as that. I mean, where's the trust?
Yeah, but are there some like security?
Yeah, there is, because for me, it's already going to end. Yeah, there are some security issues there.
Thank you for your participation. This session will now end.
I think that was it.
Thank you for your
Bye.
participation.
Thanks so much,
This
Lillian.
session will now end.
Thank you.
Bye, Alice.
Thank you
Good to see you.
for your presentation. We had a lot of questions, but you can answer
Good
them
to
in the
see you
chat
too.
another time.
Yeah.